Respected DG Kerala, my distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure and a privilege to be here this afternoon, and it's really good to see this Cocoon conference back to Kochi. Last year I had a chance to speak even in that Gujarat edition of the Cocoon conference. The topic given to me is regarding the future of cybersecurity. So before I delve into the future of cybersecurity, as you all would be aware, I would like to ponder over an obvious trend with regard to the cyber domain. In today's interconnected world, almost every aspect of human activity is rapidly shifting into the cyber domain. Communication, commerce, governance, education, and even warfare now relies heavily on digital networks and data systems. The cyber domain has become the new frontier where nations, businesses, and individuals operate, interact, and compete. Physical boundaries no longer define influence or security. Instead, information flow, data integrity, and connectivity determine power and resilience. This digital migration brings immense opportunities, greater efficiency, accessibility, and innovation, but also introduces complex risks. Cyber threats such as hacking, misinformation, espionage, and ransomware can disrupt economies and national security with unprecedented speed and scale. Critical infrastructure, once protected by physical barriers, now depends on cybersecurity defenses. As artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and the Internet of Things expand, the line between the physical and the digital worlds continue to blur. Every connected device becomes a potential entry for both collaboration and conflict. Therefore, understanding and securing the cyber domain has become essential for global stability and progress. In essence, as everything moves into the cyber realm, digital trust, governance, and resilience are no longer optional, but they are the foundations of modern civilian. So cybersecurity in the coming days is not just going to be a normal security issue, but it is going to become a key for national security. Whether you look at the Russia-Ukraine war or the Israel-Iran war, the wars, the kinetic effects have been preceded by and compounded with the cyber effects and the cyber attacks. The VSAT-K satellite attack, which the Russians did just before the invasion of Ukraine, where all their satellite networks, which the military of Ukraine was supposed to use, got disrupted, shows the potential of cyber in actual conventional wars. But at the same time, given the way the Starlink came to the rescue of the Ukraine to give it an alternate network for their connectivity, shows how, apart from cybersecurity, we need to think now more in terms of resilience rather than just prevention. And we'll have to bring in more innovative ways, more innovative tweaking in the business processes to ensure resilience as we go ahead. Cybersecurity is a more defensive and a risk-averse approach, whereas cyber resilience is a risk-aware approach. Moving from a cybersecurity-only posture to one of cyber resilience requires a strategic shift that involves people, process, and technology. We need a shift in mindset to accept the fact that a cyber attack is not a possibility, but an inevitability. This shift forces an organization to prepare for the worst. So having established the centrality of the cyber resilience and the cybersecurity theme in the days to come, I'll now try to give you some glimpse of what I personally think lies the future of cybersecurity. I would like to issue a caveat here that the views expressed here are in my personal capacity and need not always reflect the official mandate or the official version. The first change which I see is that the secure development will become a foundational pillar of modern day cybersecurity. We'll have to think in terms of security at inception rather than adding it as an afterthought. The secure by design philosophy will ensure that systems, software, and hardware are built with embedded safeguards, minimizing vulnerability before deployment. Secure DevOps extends this mindset through continuous integration and automated testing, embedding security checks throughout the development lifecycle. This proactive approach contrasts sharply with retrofitting security, which is costly, inefficient, and often incomplete. By prioritizing security from concept to deployment, organizations can build resilient systems that withstand evolving threats while maintaining agility, reliability, and compliance in today's complex digital ecosystems. Artificial intelligence and machine learning is fundamentally shaping the cybersecurity landscape. It is both a powerful weapon for the attackers and a crucial tool for the defenders. The future of cybersecurity is likely to be an AI-driven arms race. The malicious actors would use artificial intelligence to launch sophisticated cyber attacks like AI-generated deepfakes for social engineering, adaptive malware that evades detection, using AI to find vulnerabilities and weaknesses in the computer systems at a much faster rate than a human ever can. AI will in fact not just be replacing human experts, but rather augment the threat actors' capability to make them exponentially more effective. On the other hand, artificial intelligence is proving to be an indispensable ally for defenders in mitigating threats. It can enhance threat detection. AI can analyze immense volumes of data in real time, leveraging patterns and detecting subtle anomalies that indicate potential threats faster and more accurate than traditional methods. AI can automate routine security tasks such as isolating affected systems, blocking malicious traffic after detection, thus enabling faster and more appropriate incident response to breaches. It can immensely improve predictive analysis. By analyzing historical data, AI can predict high-risk areas and potential attack vectors, allowing organizations to proactively patch vulnerabilities before they are exploited. So enterprises and individuals would need to invest in AI-powered cybersecurity tools. If they don't, they risk being outsmarted by attackers who are already using these advanced technologies. Thus, it will be a race to see who can use AI more effectively, the attackers or the defenders. I am sure that with the global outcry for responsible AI and cybersecurity experts staying ahead of the curve, the defenders would win if they innovate properly. I also see identity as the new parameter beyond passwords. With cloud, software as a service, and hybrid work, identity and access management will become the dominant control surface. Passwordless authentication, hardware-backed credentials, risk-adaptive access, and continuous authentication will be the future. Privileged access management will converge with just-in-time entitlement provisioning. Expect greater emphasis on identity threat detection and response to counter token theft, consent phishing, and session hijacking. I also see zero trust evolve from framework to operational discipline. Never trust, always verify. Will move from slideware to enforceable policy at scale. Micro-segmentation, software-defined perimeters, least privilege by default, and continuous posture assessment across users, devices, services, and data will be automated via policy engines. The hard part here will not be the tech, it's the governance, mapping dependencies, and measuring blast radius reduction. Zero trust maturity will be judged by telemetry coverage, policy fidelity, and the time to revoke/contain. With surging investments and faster than expected innovation, Quantum market is projected to propel to $100 billion in a decade. The United Nations has designated 2025 as the International Year of Quantum Science and Technologies, celebrating 100 years since the initial development of quantum mechanics. Governments across the globe are investing hundreds of millions of dollars for development of quantum computers. Companies such as Amazon, Google, IBM, and Microsoft have also revealed key breakthroughs in the development of quantum computers. All our current encryption systems, especially the asymmetric encryption solutions, would be broken with the advent of quantum computers, sometimes called the Q-day. So the future of cybersecurity in large parts would be the transition to post-quantum or quantum-resistant cryptographic systems in the next 10 years. Managing hybrid systems and deployment of crypto-agile solutions would be the key to managing this transition to post-quantum cryptography. Quantum key distribution, quantum random number generator, and post-quantum cryptography would be the first to be adopted. Quantum communications, routers and switches handling them would follow. It will all be as to who does faster. It's almost a race against time, given the fact that there are many nation-state actors who believe in the philosophy of harvest now and decrypt later. So a lot of their encrypted communications are also being tapped by a lot of these adversaries, and they hope that when they get the quantum computers, they'll be able to break these encryptions and make sense out of the data which you are thinking to be safe. And that necessitates the importance of doing this transition at the earliest. All the enterprises having sensitive data and financial institutions will have to immediately start working towards adoption of the quantum resistance cryptographic systems. They have to start with identification of all deployed crypto assets, see which are protecting the most sensitive data and communications, and start with their transitions. For the startups and companies engaged in developing post-quantum cryptographic solutions, your success will depend upon your ability to develop crypto-agile solutions and plug-and-play systems. As the post-quantum cryptographic algorithms are still developing, it would be prudent to provide plug-and-play post-quantum cryptographic algorithms in your product if need be. India has done well to launch its quantum mission in 2023, one of whose important components is to ensure transition to post-quantum cryptographic solutions which are indigenous. The relevant certification frameworks and enabling regulations are expected to come soon. Now, with the advent of next-generation networks, the 5G and 6G, another area of concern would be the software-defined networks. The software-defined network centralizes network control, enabling flexibility and automation, but at the same time introduces unique cybersecurity challenges. The centralized controller becomes a high-value target if compromised. The attacker controls the entire network. The separation of control and data planes increases risk from malicious API calls, configuration tampering, and denial of service attacks. Additionally, insecure communication between controllers and switches can expose networks to interception and spoofing. Ensuring strong authentication, encrypted channels, and continuous monitoring is critical. As SDN scales across cloud and 5G environments, its security posture will determine the reliability of next-generation digital infrastructure. The proliferation of connected devices and embedded technologies and the Internet of Things devices will introduce new vulnerabilities that can adversely affect the functioning of the infrastructure and delivery of services, which in turn can have cascading impact on data integrity, public trust, digital economy, and the national security. Ensuring that these devices and the Internet of Things meet robust security benchmarks would be a key focus area for regulators and the national nodal bodies in cybersecurity in the coming decade. The certification and testing framework to ensure that these devices meet the desired cybersecurity standards is likely to come up in a big way in the future across the globe. The product labeling schemes specifying the level of cybersecurity inherent in any device is likely to be seen rolling out across the globe in a big way in the coming days. With the personal identifiable information and the enterprise data becoming valuable treasure, work from home and edge devices becoming reality, we would see more of data-centric security and privacy-preserving computation. In the past, we mainly focused on building strong walls around the places where this treasure was stored. But now our treasure isn't just in one place. It's spread across many different online storage areas like multi-cloud and even on devices closer to where we use them like the edge devices. This means we need a way to protect our treasure. The protection needs to stick to the data itself, no matter where it goes. This is what is data-centric security. It's like putting a special lock on each piece of treasure that only opens for the right person and only for the specific reason they need it. This involves things like smart access rules, only allowing certain people to see certain parts of the data based on their job or role. Automatic labeling, giving each piece of data a tag, like confidential or public, so that the system knows how to protect it. Scrambling data, changing sensitive parts of the data into meaningless codes, tokenization, or encrypting it in a way that still allows it to be used for some tasks without revealing the original information. On top of this, we are also getting better at privacy-preserving computation. This means we can analyze and learn from sensitive data without actually seeing or exposing the private details. Think of it like being able to figure out trends from a group of people's health data without ever knowing who each person is. Technologies like federated learning and homomorphic encryption are making this possible and more likely to be adopted in the coming days. In the future, we'll have smart systems that automatically find, prioritize, and fix any cybersecurity weaknesses in our data, no matter where it lives. This will help us keep our information safe and private, even as it moves around more and more. Now coming to the cybersecurity in view of the cloud, the software as a service, and the API attack surface. Imagine all the different apps and services we use online, from your email to your favorite streaming service and all the business tools companies use. Many of these are in the cloud, meaning they run on remote servers, or are software as a service which you access over the internet. These services often talk to each other using something called an API, the application programming interface. Think of an API like a waiter in a restaurant taking your order, a request, to the kitchen, another service, and bringing back your food, that is the data. The problem is these APIs are becoming the main target for the attackers. If an API isn't set up correctly, or if it gives too much access to other systems, it's like leaving the back door of the restaurant wide open. Hackers can also exploit shadow software as a service, which are apps employees use without IT approval or insecure connections with other companies' services. In the future, security won't just focus on protecting individual computers. Instead, it will focus on protecting these waiters, the application programming interfaces, and the control panel that manages them. This means using smart tools that understand cloud apps, security platforms designed specifically for cloud applications, guard the gateways, small intelligent gateways that check every request to an API, making sure only authorized systems with the right permissions can access data. Enforce strict rules, systems that ensure every interaction with an API follows the principle of least privilege, meaning it only gets the minimum access it needs to do its job and nothing more. It's also crucial for companies to keep a constantly updated list of all their APIs, regularly testing them to make sure they are secure and haven't changed in a way that creates new vulnerabilities. This way they can close the back doors before the hackers find them. Cyber attacks on critical infrastructure, the telecommunications networks, power grids, water supply systems, healthcare facilities, and transportation systems have moved from just being theoretical concerns to documented realities. Nation state backed by cyber threat actors are conducting reconnaissance and pre-positioning themselves within critical systems, creating potential for devastating attacks during geopolitical conflicts. The recent Salt Typhoon campaign by suspected Chinese threat actors on the US telecommunications networks and the cyber attacks crippling airports in London, Brussels, and Berlin simultaneously in September 2025 are just indicators of the future in this regard. For those of whom who are unaware of the magnitude of the Salt Typhoon campaign between 2023 and 2024, the hackers infiltrated at least 9 of the 12 major US telecom companies, including the AT&T, Verizon, Lumen, and compromised wiretapping related systems, call metadata, text, and in many cases, phone calls of high-profile individuals. The attackers exported vulnerabilities in routers, switches, and network device softwares, used custom tools, altered configurations, created backdoors, and maintained persistent access for months. The scale and stealth of these intrusions have led the US officials to call it by far the worst telecom hack in their nation's history, spurring sanctions and policy responses. Protection of critical information infrastructure is going to be the key focus in the coming decade of the strategy of all nation states when it comes to cybersecurity. Cybersecurity of critical information infrastructure will become a board-level agenda which cannot be left to the CISOs alone. The Chief Information Security Officers, that is the CISOs across all critical sectors, would be strengthened and listened to from the planning and procurement of all ICT systems, as security during the entire project lifecycle is going to be the focus for all critical infrastructure operators. State-of-the-art AI-powered Security Operations Center, continuous red teaming, and skilling manpower would be the key focus of CIO operators in the days to come. Managing the cyber-physical risks due to growing interconnectivity of IT and operational technology systems will be a key concern in manufacturing, grids, transportation, and other units employing industrial control systems. Given the legacy nature of the industrial systems, the segmentation of networks of critical OT systems from the IT, the use of smart detectors which understand the unique language of industrial devices to stop unusual activity, building secure gateways, and ensuring firmware signing would gain significance for the protection of OT systems and networks. With new technologies like 5G, the super-fast internet and edge computing, processing data closer to where it is collected, we'll see more connected devices, which would mean security will need to be spread out and enforced everywhere. Organizations will need to practice these kinds of attacks, including scenarios where physical damages occur, and work closely with safety teams and government regulators to prepare for and respond to such incidents. Now, many high-profile attacks in recent times have exposed how vulnerable organizations are through their supply chain and third-party vendors. The software supply chain attacks and risks due to outsourcing are growing to increase in the days to come. Attackers will increasingly target software supply chains, weaker managed service providers, and the managed security service providers to gain access to larger organizations. The future of cybersecurity would require comprehensive supply chain mapping, risk assessment, and mitigation, where enterprise may like to factor the Niara energy type incidents as well. Comprehensive vendor risk management programs, cybersecurity clauses in all service level agreements, minimum baseline standards for the managed service providers and the managed security service providers, insistence on software bill of materials, and continuously watching all connections and relationships with third parties would be the key. So cybersecurity would not be about protecting your own enterprises, but it will be more about ensuring cybersecurity of everyone who works for you, as threat actors would continue to find and target the weakest links who are providing you services and products. The threats due to ransomware as a service will persist with data exfiltration, harassment, and supplier pressure as leverage. The recent ransomware attack on Jaguar Land Rover in August 2025 in London is a case in point. The attackers were able to severely hamper production supply lines, closing down all productions in the plant for more than a month. Some media reports quantify the loss of the company in millions of dollars. With no cyber insurance in place, the company will have to bear all the losses. However, just insurance is not going to help. Insurers would become more selective and will demand higher security standards before providing coverage in the days to come. Organizations will have to demonstrate robust security controls, incident response capabilities, and regular testing to qualify for coverage. The future involves better risk quantification, methodologies that translate technical vulnerabilities into financial impact, allowing boards and executives to make financial decisions about security investments. However, the binning strategy for ransomware would revolve around immutable, segmented backups with frequent testing to quickly restore operations from backup and building in business continuity by design. Cyber resilience will play a big role with companies tracking how quickly can they fix security issues and recover from attacks. They will also use clever tricks like data leakage canaries, that is fake sensitive data that alerts them if stolen, and decoy data sets, that is fake data sets to mislead attacks, to deter and track extortionists. It will be all about making it more expensive and difficult for the ransomware actors to profit from these attacks. The cybersecurity industry faces a critical shortage of skilled professionals with millions of positions unfilled globally. This gap leaves organizations vulnerable as they cannot adequately staff security operations center, conduct thorough security assessments, or respond effectively to incidents. The shortage of skilled manpower in the cyber domain has been acknowledged by countries across the globe. You look at the cybersecurity strategy of any country across the globe, whether it is the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, European Union, Australia, Japan, South Korea, or even Singapore. Everyone is focusing on capacity building. Given our network of engineering colleges throughout the length and breadth of the country and the demographic dividend we enjoy, India is uniquely poised to become the global hub for cyber talent pool across the globe. There is going to be more focus on cybersecurity and related courses in the Indian technical institutes and the NPTEL-like platforms. We have come up with frameworks for certification of cybersecurity professionals, especially certifications having global recognition. We are trying more cybersecurity-related courses and hands-on training affordable for all in the country so that we are looked upon as the country with the most sought-after cyber talent. Coming to the police fraternity here, I feel the future would be of those police officers who understand technology, who can solve technology-enabled crimes, especially cyber-enabled crime, and who can use technology to solve crimes, who can provide security or security-related advice in the cyber domain and not just the physical security domain. So forums like Cocoon have the bright future. I would ask the tech-savvy policemen to opt for becoming cyber commandos, a scheme being steered by I4C of the Ministry of Home Affairs, because that is going to be the future. To my ethical hacker community, you again have a very bright future. All the cybersecurity teams in future would definitely have you as a component. Without your certification, enterprises may be hesitant to launch new products and new applications. It would not be an exaggeration to say that our future to a large extent would depend on the work of ethical hackers and what they decide to do both individually and collectively. Deepfakes in influence operations and misinformation or disinformation have emerged as potent tools in modern information warfare. Deepfakes use AI to create hyper-realistic fake videos and audios, enabling impersonation and manipulation of public perception. Influence operations leverage coordinated campaigns, often through social media, to shape narratives, polarize societies, or undermine trust in institutions. Misinformation, whether deliberate, that is, disinformation campaigns, or accidental spreads rapidly across digital platforms, blurring the line between the truth and deception. Together, these can destabilize societies, sway elections, erode trust in institutions, and legitimate sources of information. Closed source artificial intelligence systems and large language models often exhibit algorithmic bias due to opaque training processes, hidden data sets, proprietary design choices, etc. As the model architectures, data selection, and fine-tuning methods are not publicly auditable, there are chances of bias, whether related to gender, race, socioeconomic status, or ideology, which can remain undetected and uncorrected. Such biases can propagate stereotypes, reinforce inequities, and influence decision-making in hiring, lending, content moderation, and law enforcement. Without transparency, and external researchers and regulators would find it difficult to evaluate fairness or accountability. The speed and scale of content dissemination makes the detection and correction of fake information really difficult, especially with the advent of social media and the artificial intelligence. AI-driven detection, improved digital literacy, strong content authentication, increased accountability of intermediaries, stricter AI governance and auditing frameworks, and development of explainable, inclusive practices will be the way forward. Preserving the integrity of our information channels, the integrity of various campaigns, and the sanctity of the democratic processes would remain one of the most engrossing areas for all the security agencies, the law enforcement, as well as the cybersecurity agencies across the globe in the coming decade. The future of cybersecurity will be a lot about collaborations and partnerships. The cyber threats do not respect national boundaries. For example, a ransomware attack may be launched from one continent, cripple infrastructure in another, and the laundering of funds takes place through a third continent. Isolated national efforts and building resilience will no longer be sufficient to tackle this. Fragmented international cooperation leaves critical security gaps that the attackers exploit. So international cooperation has to be a cornerstone for building safer global cyberspace in the days to come. International cooperation is no longer an option, it's a strategic necessity. Similarly, no single entity, neither government or private industry or civic society alone, can bear the full weight of cybersecurity alone. New and innovative frameworks for public-private partnerships will determine the success of the cybersecurity-related efforts of the countries in the coming decade. A whole-of-society approach to cybersecurity will be the key to success in the days to come.